Hi there everybody, I'm Rosslyn and welcome to chapter 6 of Knightmare, the Dragon's Lair. Ashes to ashes. Oh, and we get quite a good picture here at the start. The dragon reared up, spreading her leathery wings against the cavern walls. There was an inrush of breath through the giant nostrils. Standing in front of her, clad in his velvet robes, the wizard Caedmon looked a frail figure indeed. But there was no sign of fear on his face. In fact, he was smiling. The dragon's head swung down, and a geyser of flame erupted from her mouth. William suddenly realised he was in the line of fire. Fear kept him rooted to the spot, but then he felt a heavy buffet across his shoulders as one of the men dived to one side, carrying him to safety in the nick of time. The flames crackled around the wizard. For several seconds, he was completely engulfed in an awesome inferno. But as the flames died down, he still stood unharmed. He threw his head back and laughed, holding up a handful of dust that glittered violet light across his thin face. "He's cast an anti-fire spell," said Faye. "The dragon's breath. Can he hurt him?" Taking another pinch of dragon's egg dust from his belt, Caedmon flung it into the air and muttered the words of a spell. White lightning spat through the last flickers of red gold flames, and Talionis gave a roar of pain as she shuddered back. There were patches of charred scales all across her serpentine body. Caedmon smiled. There were only 2 pinches of the magic dust left in his pouch, but he was sure they would be more than enough to slay the dragon. "Attack him," William called out to Osric. "Talionis' breath canna get through his defences, but your swords can." Osric nodded, but Caedmon had heard William's words too. He glanced at them, eyes flashing cobalt in the firelit gloom. "Aelthred's son," he said with a sneer, "and a paltry war band of would-be hall heroes. You're too late to stop me." Osric tried to buy time as he edged closer. "Why?" he said. "What's the need for all this, Caedmon? You and my father were friends once. You both swore an oath to the dragon." The eyes narrowed to brooding blue slits. "My former friend," he spat. "He was so selfless, so self-righteous. All I ask is this one sip from the pool we restored," he wheedled. I know he disapproved of my choice, the dragon's dust of power, but he got power, didn't he? A kingdom of his own, while I have had only a life of lonely seclusion, shunned by all. "You cannot blame my father for that," countered Osric. "He is a good and noble man." Caedmon nodded wryly. Easy to be noble when one is a king. You did not know him in his youth. For a moment his voice took on a sad quality as he added, "You know nothing. He was worse than I, by far." Osric moved a step closer. His sword point began to sweep upwards, but Caedmon was faster. The thoughtful look in those piercing blue eyes was swept away again by the glare of madness. He drew a pinch of dust and sprinkled it in front of him. A blinding arc of lightning cracked through the air. Osric flung himself to the floor of the cave, but some of the warriors behind him were not so fortunate. They used their last breath in groans as they fell. William and Fay had scrabbled to cover behind a jutting spar of rock. "We have to do something," William said. "There's nothing we can do," said Fay. "This is a time of wizards and warriors. We can only watch." Caedmon moved back against the far wall so that he could face both Talionis and the remnants of Osric's band. Apart from the prince himself, William counted only 5 warriors still moving, and most of them had been badly burned by the lightning bolt. Caedmon had drawn another pinch of dust from his pouch. Enough for one last spell, though none of his foes could know that. He had to kill all his foes now. He looked around for inspiration. Then he saw the serried spikes of stalactites hanging from the ceiling. A cave-in could bury Talionis and the last of those vexing warriors if he judged it right, and it could still leave him unscathed. Caedmon's face pinched in concentration as he hastily gauged the precise force he should use. As he began his spell, Talionis raised her head for another blast of fiery breath. Caedmon did not even glance at her, only raised the hand holding the violet glowing dust of his defensive spell, as if to remind her that her effort was futile. Suddenly, one of the warriors, William had never caught his name, rushed forward and launched himself directly at the wizard in a desperate leap. Lunging, he struck the outstretched hand. The violet dust was scattered on the air. I'm not sure which bit this illustration is for, because I don't think she's done this, but we do get somebody getting incinerated. I thought it might be this guy, but had a cheeky try to read ahead a paragraph and... Anyway, the warrior went sprawling at Caedmon's feet. The wizard glared at him in fury, his expression flickering through a gamut of emotions in a split second. Anger, confusion, amazement, shock, as he realised he had dropped the dust of his defensive spell. Fear. Oh, maybe he's about to get it. This might be a premature illustration. Ominous. He's feeling fear as he saw the dragon about to unleash her breath. But William was sure that the last thing he saw stamped on the wizard's face, an instant before the fire streamed down and burned it out of existence, was a look of acceptance at his fate. There was a long moment of silence. 2 burning bodies lay on the ground, Caedmon's and that of the warrior who had dashed forward. He had not had time to get out of the way of the blast. Osric got to his feet and went over to the body of his comrade. William and the remaining warriors joined him. His name was Alcuin, was all that Osric said. End of chapter 6.